Welcome to She Blaze, where we're bringing you cannabis culture from a woman's point of view. And as always, here to elevate the cannabis industry. I'm one of your hosts, Ice Dawson, Cannabis Socialite.
And I am Dasheeda Dawson, the WeedHead.
Hey, girl, hey. How's it going? You are the WeedHead.
I am.
Welcome back to another episode. And on today's episode of She Blaze, we're discussing cannabis laws that have stalled, people stealing hemp plants, and a New Jersey teacher is arrested for cannabis possession.
Ooh, you got all the tea today, okay? I see. But before we jump into that, we of course gotta kick things off with the high of the week.
Yes.
And so my high of the week is still kind of from like last week. Okay. I was able to travel to Buffalo, New York, which is basically one of my favorite places because it reminds me of like old Brooklyn back in the day. But Buffalo, New York, where I participated with Cannabis 103, which is the third installment for the Majority Leader, Crystal People-Stokes, really trying to teach the community about cannabis.
Yeah.
We talked about getting in where you could fit in, and it always is very exciting just to hear how so many people are energized around getting into the cannabis space. And of course, I got to tell everyone, and you also get to hear it here, my book is available for pre-order.
Pre-order right now.
Yay! So you can go to the weedhead.com/shop. So you can order or pre-order rather, How to Succeed in the Cannabis Industry, 3rd edition. The first 100 folks going to get a signed book from me. So I'm excited. Yes.
And you always put a nice little message in them, especially when you get to read their business tea leaves and stuff. They really don't know how good they're getting it with a signed copy.
Yes, it is. Well, I just want people to really learn how to get into the industry. So I'm just glad that we finally have it. It's available for pre-order. Do not miss your opportunity.
Right. Well, I like the high you're riding on. But my high of the week is a little bit different. Right now, I am high on Ghost Train Haze Sugar, Golden Lemons Crumble, powered by some Tangy flour.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. She got it. You got layers of THC.
I got my official cannabis cocktail, but I live in a legal state, Nevada, and I have access to all these things.
That's so dope. I am excited. There's a lot going on there. You said sugar, crumble, and flour.
Yes.
Awesome.
All in one.
Are you rolling that?
Well, it did not only we put a little crumble sugar in our bowls with our flour, and we'll hit it like that.
How often are you cleaning out your bowl? It doesn't get a lot of residue from the sugar and the crumble?
Well, it depends on the bowl, like you're saying. But David actually has a really dope bowl that is huge, and it's kind of like a multi-hitter bowl.
Okay.
And that one doesn't get as resi. But we, it was a gift, so we'll see how long it takes to get rezzed up. So far, a couple months in, it's pretty clean.
Okay.
Yeah, and it's black and blue, so you can't even tell either.
That's something that can be high off of for sure. You're real high.
Riding high. Okay. And I am really, as you see, sativaed up and ready to get into these hot topics.
All right, let's do it.
Okay, speaking of Nevada, we have to tell you what's going on at Planet 13 based in Las Vegas.
Okay.
This is literally, when they talk about Apple stores, this is one of the stores they talk about. Planet 13, one of the biggest cannabis dispensaries out here in Las Vegas.
It's one of the biggest in the world.
Yeah, actually. They have opened a 24-hour, 7 days a week cafe and restaurant to go along with their dispensary. And it's literally right across the hall. Like, you just walk. David and I went this past weekend.
Okay, what's the intel?
There's a lot of things to report. So your Apple store, you're going to pay probably a pretty penny for some cannabis. It's really a little bit more touristy than local friendly. We're locals. However, it is perfect to have the food and drinks right there, because if that line gets out of crazy and ridiculous, you could grab a cup of coffee, or, after you purchase it and you're looking for somewhere to go consume your cannabis, you can stop in, get a drink, eat food in between that.
Okay. Well, I love that there's just, again, more innovation in the space. We talked a lot in the last couple episodes about some of the Nevada licenses and that ability being delayed for 2 years with the moratorium from the governor. And so this is a way for Planet 13 to continue to drive traffic, even though they don't have the ability for people to really consume in the traditional sense. But it also is a little bit on that bro science, because it's an assumption that I think that people are like gonna have the munchies or something. And that way, you know, having the restaurant there makes it a little bit easily for them to access it. But I think it depends on the strain. As you already know, I am loving the Durban poison, and yes, certain sativas actually do curb the appetite. They inhibit it, and honestly, I feel like it's just a great traffic driver. Like that's probably the number one thing it should do for them, because if you're a tourist and you just want a good place to eat and it's 4 o'clock in the morning or 3 o'clock in the morning, that might be the place for you. And oh, by the way, why not go back, chill out, digest the food with a little bit of cannabis? A lot of people don't know that cannabis is very, very helpful with the digestive tract.
You are right about that. They don't know that. And you make some great points. And this is just a traffic driving white space. And it's time to just move on to our next one, because loopholes are everywhere. And there's a real loophole right now in Elkhart County, Indiana. Yes, folks, I know you're wondering what cannabis is there. Hemp. Yes. And the hemp farmers are experiencing theft. People are coming in and taking their plants out the ground.
That's crazy.
Really crazy.
I bet you it's because they think it's marijuana.
Okay, well, you are right about that for sure. Definitely, one of the farmers went out there, caught 2 suspects taking the plants. He actually tracked down one, and you know, when the good old police got there, they're like, you know, buddy, what are you doing taking these plants? And they're like, well, we thought it was marijuana. So it is very interesting that, does that make it better? Does it make it less? I do think that these farmers have to understand this is not corn, this is not cotton, and this is not tomatoes. You're going to have to worry about more than just rabbits.
This is true. This is true, especially for most folks. Phenotypically, you know, if you're ignorant, you don't know the difference between hemp and marijuana. As a matter of fact, I feel like in the legacy market or the underground market, people who call mids or have mids or regs, they're actually selling hemp and not marijuana. And so just, you heard it here first if you've never heard it before. So if it's something like that, Reggie, you probably are smoking hemp. But I also think, and I hope, that this doesn't lead the hemp industry down the same type of over security that is required in the marijuana industry. Right now, people feel like marijuana is the equivalent of cash because you can flip it in the legacy markets. But the truth of the matter is that it should be so decriminalized or legalized to the point in the home grow. Like, it should be just a common place to have it and not feel like you need to steal it because you're going to flip it to make it to cash. And I hope that no one is starting to think that way around hemp. The Indiana making the law that now farmers have to have that same type of over security, but it doesn't hurt to be somewhere in the middle. At the end of the day, it's still crop, and it's still one of those things that instead of stealing it, they could have had really bad intentions and decide that they want to sabotage your whole entire harvest by just putting something on your plants.
I agree.
That might be people that just want to sabotage the industry, to be honest.
Listen, I got to tell you a very funny cultivating story after this episode, but it is serious. And security, it's a white space, it's a loophole, but that man got arrested. And speaking of arrest, we have to get into our third hot topic.
Whoa. Okay.
I know it's getting hotter. No, I'm just kidding. So a New Jersey teacher who also serves as a vice president on an education board in New Jersey got caught ordering cannabis from Canada. Yeah.
What you talking about with us?
She ordered cannabis from Canada and then
ordered online
via online. Like, she didn't even do it doesn't even seem like she did an incognito tab. Because when her husband went to the post office to pick it up, he got her arrested.
So her husband was in on it too.
Well, it doesn't seem like they were trying to flood the illegal market. It seemed like it was more like personal use, but because Canada doesn't have like the same CBD laws that we have, you can't even like get around it like that either, you know?
Right.
So I gotta
CBD is actually illegal in Canada. Wow. That is, I mean, okay, so I have mixed feelings on this one.
I know.
I'm going to first start from the side of the patient because I'm a patient.
Yeah.
New Jersey has a medical marijuana program, and shout out to the governor. There has been expansion by way of what the qualifying ailments are. A lot more physicians are becoming more and more educated. Shout out to Doctors for Cannabis regulation. The reality is that New Jersey has a chance to be a really great medical marijuana market, but they're still far away from having the product and the assortment that honestly I would want myself if I was a resident. I'm happy. Well, first of all, the flower content is not allowed to be over 10%. And if that's changed, I want anybody light up those comments
right
and
now.
Let me know. I know that there are some things that are going to be changed and are intended in 2020 potentially, but right now that's what I understand it to be. There are not a lot of treatment centers in New Jersey as well. You have to really drive pretty far. And when you get there, yeah, they do have the different categories, but they're still not as sophisticated as what you just described. Did
you hear about their mold incident too?
Yes, and now I can't talk too much shade about it because we're in a legal market that also has had its own incidents. And to be honest, that's something that happens in consumer products. Like you have moments, where we couldn't eat romaine lettuce. Like that had nothing to do with cannabis. That's just, that's what happens. But this is one of those things where I feel like I feel for her. If she was just ordering as a patient and felt like she needed the best assortment, I mean, to be honest though, it was a really big risk at the same time. It's not even okay really to ship cannabis in the country, throughout the country, based on our federal law. So to do it internationally just seems such like a high risk. It's not worth it. But I feel like patients are willing to take the risk. I gotta, kind of put a little bit of tea out there. The other day, not too long ago, a couple weeks ago, I guess, a good friend, Marvin Washington, he's on his Facebook Live showing himself getting busted trying to get some cannabis from Vegas back to Jersey. So again, another Jersey resident who maybe is not very happy with the medical marijuana program. Now, I can't put words in his mouth, but at the end of the day, I know what the program has, and I know what Vegas has, like you just said.
And it ain't that.
And so maybe this woman has been willing to take a risk. Now, what we got to see is how will New Jersey respond? Will they actually go forward and prosecute, even though he hasn't been arrested? And what does that look like? Because they do really have plans to expand the program. And I believe from, just working with some organizations, as well as understanding Governor Murphy's plan, there is an intent to expand as far as the assortment is concerned.
I agree. The accessibility has to be there for our patients because we're the ones that lose out first, not the people with the big pockets. And not to even mention, it is precarious how New Jersey is going to really stand out in this decision because this is a felony charge. Conspiracy to possess marijuana and possessing marijuana is a felony charge. And as a teacher, she cannot educate our children anymore.
Wow. I mean, I think that this also may be a poster child in the making for changing some of these laws. It's unfortunate to say, I don't know, and I don't know if the article mentioned whether she was Caucasian or not, but the assumption is she's Caucasian. And, having a Caucasian mom, not mom, like M-O-M, mom, right, Jersey mom, be arrested with her husband for conspiracy as it pertains to marijuana for felony. I think it's going to change the conversation around who is advocating and why, particularly around social justice, because there have been thousands of Black and Hispanics already arrested this year, despite the laws. And so I'm just curious to see how this is all going to turn out. That is a really hot topic. That is probably going to want to turn into a main topic at some point in the future. So we're going to have to watch this one.
Absolutely. Well, it does highlight a good main topic that we're talking about, which is accessibility.
Okay.
And really, honestly, truly, these laws are getting signed, they're getting voted on, but what happens after them? We're actually seeing a lot of cannabis bills and laws stall.
Yeah, that's unfortunate. I mean, but it is something that has been part of the history of cannabis legalization throughout the country. When we are talking to new entrants, new entrepreneurs, as we're preparing them, we kind of try to get them ready for the long haul, which is, even though the law has changed or passed, you still may have 12 to 18 months of just time for regulations, different from law. Regulations are how do you regulate that law, that are needed to be debated, discussed, and decided on before you can actually see a market come into play. Absolutely. And we're seeing that happen already with quite a few states, right?
We are seeing that happen with majority of the states. Right now, particularly Michigan, last year voted on adult use cannabis.
Okay.
And they still haven't even released any adult use licenses. They are just now accepting license applications.
Yeah, I mean, but that doesn't surprise me. Michigan is one of those complicated states, like New York will be, that has incarcerated quite a few people of color as it pertains to prohibition. And they have communities that have, over the vagueness of the medical marijuana law, popped up, and there's a lot of people operating in the gray, and there's a question of how to get those people to transition into the legal market. And we don't want it to be done with over policing and creating a new black market. But Michigan has a lot to think about as they're going to roll this out and implement it. I also don't believe that they currently have enough cannabis for their medical program right now.
You are really hitting some key points right there. You're right. Right now, your best bet, if you want to smoke legal cannabis, because they have not released any dates on when they believe their adult use is going to start up and running.
Right.
Your best bet is to get a patient card. But some medical marijuana facilities are finding less products on their shelves right now to even do the patients that they have, or have the patients have the ability to get the products that they need right now. So
yeah, I think it's the underground market, the legacy market is still strong in Michigan. I mean, honestly, I was in Detroit, and like, real talk, one of the people I, connected with was a plug, and he was trying to sell me some stuff from California. Like, at the end of the day, Michigan doesn't even really fully respect Michigan's cultivated flower game yet. And
right.
They would be wrong to completely
sleep on it,
because there's quite a few, and there are some people who are actually legitimate that have great flower.
Sure.
I just think that it's been gray so long, and there are over 300,000 medical marijuana patients in Michigan, that right now it is one of those things where the supply is not meeting the demand, and that's only furthering the legacy markets. Hopefully they'll get to a point where they can start giving out real licenses, but even then it's going to take some time, as with anything, for it to get to a point where it's up to speed. But this is where the stalls are really going to impact the medical market. I look at it as a good thing. I kind of feel the same way about New Jersey. This is a chance to really teach people about the science behind it and the health and wellness. Like, if you overstep that, the adult use market doesn't do that well. Because imagine if you know that this is good for you in some way, or there are benefits from it, and then there is an adult use market that becomes more proliferation of products, more ways to try it, you'll be that much more eager to try it. And so I think these are the opportunities for us to strengthen the medical components and the medical understanding. And to be honest, as a patient, you have the most protection. You have HIPAA protection, because this is a medical record. Mm-hmm. And if you're still dealing with an antiquated regulation among your employer, which, I mean, honey, that's why I like being an entrepreneur, real talk.
Yeah, because it just got real confusing.
Yes, but if you do not, work for someone who really is seeing how this is changing and they're still testing, at least the HIPAA law will actually protect you. So that's my thought around the medical. And I would say use this as an opportunity if you're an entrepreneur in Michigan also to take advantage of what's happening in medical, see some of these holes, see some of the problems and try to create solutions. And that's where you'll find success. So
I completely agree. So if you want to smoke legal in Michigan, get your patient card.
Yes.
If you're trying to just only do it with adult use, you're going to have to wait a couple, 12 more months or something.
At least it seems like.
Yeah. So, but you did hit a really key point is your medical marijuana program could really hold strong.
Yes.
I think this could definitely take us down to Georgia where, believe it or not, they have a medical marijuana program bill that just got signed in April.
I know we talked about it in an earlier episode. That is just when you know cannabis is really making its way around the country.
Shout out to Atlanta.
Okay, so we got Atlanta on the mark right now. Shout out to the Cannabis and Tangy and people down. Shout out to Vita, our sister.
Oh yeah, hey
girl, hey.
Right. Well, no, you actually made some really great points. So it got signed in April. We did discuss it, but we have to report back that it is now being stalled.
Yeah.
Yes.
Are we surprised though? What's stalling it?
Well, let's just talk about it and just get it all out on the open. You know, like most of the South, their medical marijuana program is a remix of the Hemp Farm Bill.
Okay.
So
you're like not a remix, yes, but you know, by that for our listeners, what do you mean by a remix of the Hemp Farm Bill?
A remix meaning that you are not smoking THC flower. You are actually not smoking any flower. You're only getting cannabis oil, and it is a cap again on the THC, which is a very important part for patients.
Yes.
You know,
people should know that it's the full cannabinoid profile and terpene profile. That is the medicine that includes THC, but we still have a lot of demonizing of that particular molecule. And I think Georgia, I'm not surprised that would be the case. You're right. It is a bit of a remix. I mean, basically you can get really good CBD oil with great terpenes, and you can even get great hemp flower in Georgia now,
right.
So you can smoke hemp flower,
right.
but you can't smoke marijuana flower.
Right.
Wow.
Well, you know, that is only one of the limiting things. Another thing that is these bills just trip you up if you really
like,
just don't.
Like, who came up with this?
Like, who did? I'm just trying to like,
this?
Who put this together? So actually, the thing that's taking a really, really long time, they have to put together a committee. They have to put together a group of people to oversee this program. Well, not too many people really want to do it, to be honest, or can't even qualify to do it. Part of the bill says that you cannot have any financial investment, brand attachment to cannabis. And not only while you're serving in that chair, it's also 5 years after you serve. You cannot have any connection.
Okay, pause. So I'm going to first say that whatever commission that state puts together that's going to make these decisions, I really, really hope that you do so by selecting people who actually have experience in cannabis.
Yeah.
Now, this is an over $50 billion industry in our country alone. Right now. I'm an entrepreneur. We're here for the green rush. I'm sorry. I do have a lot of experience in cannabis, but would I want to be on the commission when I know that it prevents me from being involved in what's happening now? And for my term, it makes sense because you don't want favoritism during the term. I think it's a little bit more challenging in that 5-year period afterwards. I mean, excuse my language, but the industry
nobody
changes.
is qualified. We don't know one person right now. Well, maybe two, but they are not really cannabis fans that could even qualify for this.
I think that what they've done is the law is so restrictive and not very mindful to the fact,
friendly.
Yes, well, mindful to the fact that the industry changes. It's really changing every 3 to 6 months based on a lot of different factors. What we're talking about now will very much be heightened and different 3 months from now as we start getting into the 2020 election. A lot of people believe that there are going to be some massive changes as it pertains to federal law because of the 2020 election. That's going to change us, talking about 6 months, 9 months from now, right?
Yep.
I just think this idea of 5 years is limiting, but I also know it's a startup. They don't have any rules around how they're selecting, and that in of itself makes it problematic. And so this is the part of regulations. You have to select the people even that are going to regulate. In New York, they're proposing an Office of Cannabis Management. And I think to myself, there's supposed to be a person or executive director of that office who oftentimes there have been people who've been like, hey, Dasheeda, that'd be great for you. What? No, I don't want that job. Why? Because I probably, reading the way the law was, I will not be able to not be involved in certain cannabis businesses. It's a hard position. You have to be impartial. I believe that is important. You can't be easily swayed. We just saw what was happening down in Florida. Wasn't there an official who was taking bribes? Yeah. Clearly,
I mean, even Nevada, we are seeing this all around the country because you're not going to pass up the next .com boom for rules and regulation chair. I'm sorry. I don't know about you. Rich, poor, in between. I'm not waiting 5 years after this .com boom to put my money where my mouth is.
I think that especially after you're learning, I get it. It's about having an unfair advantage, and we definitely don't want that. But I do feel like it's still unrealistic to expect that you're going to get some of the better experts within your state to participate in a commission like this when it's so limiting. You know, I am happy that these states are moving forward. I do want people who are interested in the cannabis industry to understand what you're up against when you're entering. It takes some time, and then sometimes it moves super fast. So it's almost like you've got to hurry up and wait. And what does that mean?
We're in the military. No,
yes,
I'm just kidding.
You hurry up to get those business plans, hurry up to lay the foundation, because at the end of the day, some of these things are all relatively the same. A business is still a business is still a business. Yep. And those state regulations and those state requirements remain the same. A business plan, the elements remain the same. So get that all ready. But be prepared for a long wait when it's time to really jump in and find other ways to hack in. I think that's why I wrote the book, Real Talk, because I don't see how people can sit on this, their one idea and not try to figure out other ways to move themselves forward. And there are so many ways you can do that without touching the plant.
Touching the plant or living in a legal state. So how to succeed in the cannabis industry, available for pre-order right now. Check out the WeedHead.com. But I've taken you all across the country, world with these cannabis news, topics, but I just got to know, where in the world is the WeedHead?
You always want to know where in the world is the WeedHead. It's for everybody. Okay, where am I? So first and foremost, I am super excited to be in Newark, New Jersey, November 15th through the 17th. I'm going to be there with the Real Cannabis Entrepreneur Summit. It is going to be action-packed. Got full on squad coming through, Hope Wiseman, it's going to be a lot of really great
big
speakers.
Names.
I'm very excited. I'm very, very excited. I also am you guys get all of the news first, right?
We do.
So I'm also excited to announce we are going to be having a book tour, book signing tour for the new edition of How to Succeed in the Cannabis Industry. And my kickoff book signing event is going to be in DMV.
Yes, it is.
It is, and it's going to be December 4th. Very, very excited. It's going to be at the Hemp Haven Wellness Center. This is somebody who bought our book on 4/20 of this year. Literally, she is a dentist, and she bought the book, and within 3 months, she had a retail store open, a CBD store open already, and I'm excited for her. She followed the book, and look, I'm like, okay, can I do my book signing at your store? Yes, that's how it works.
Well, we are on our 3rd edition, so we're excited to see as many entrepreneurs in the cannabis industry as literally possible. You know what I'm saying?
Of course, that's why I wrote the book.
Yes.
And it's only $20, so it's kind of like you don't have a real excuse not to do it. She literally bought a book for $20 on April 20th, and already I'm doing a book signing and her book, and not a bookstore, her CBD store in the DMV area, and it's not even the end of the year. So it was really worth it as far as I'm concerned for her. That investment is already like more than paid off. I'm also excited because that is not going to be my only book tour stop. You need to be following us to find out when our stops will be, because we will of course announce them. We have a pop-up stop in Vegas during the week of MJ BizCon, because of course we will be here in Vegas. So that is December 9th to 13th. If you haven't already started getting your tickets, you better get them now and be prepared for a book signing here. And of course,
well, our book signings actually, when the WeedHead and company throws them, are usually free. So there's no reason for you not to be there, really.
Exactly.
Well, oh my goodness, this has been a great show. We need you to subscribe to the WeedHead.com. Follow us, She Blaze, on social media, She_Blaze. Definitely give us feedback in the comments. Say where you're at, what you're up to, what you're smoking on.
What hot topics you want.
What hot topics you need.
Yes, that's a good one.
I know, that's right. And you can follow me, Cannabis Socialite, on all social media platforms.
And she's always on them.
It's her fault. Yes. So, are you going to say where you're going to be at?
Yes.
Okay.
I am the Cannabis CEO. Okay. And maybe sometimes I'm on them, but no, I'm the Cannabis CEO on Twitter and on Instagram. And of course, you know me as the WeedHead, and I'm always with my company.
I know, that's right. Ow. Well, it's been a great episode. See you later. Bye.